Hello everybody, my name is Gediki2122 and welcome back to Pokemon Fire Red. Last time we completed the Pokemon League by defeating our rival Sheldon once and for all and becoming the champion of the Kanto region. This time, we find ourselves at the continue screen. Why is that? Well, because as we are about to get started with the post-game, the game kind of gets us into the front of things straight away. So to ensure that I don't miss anything important, I have to start from here. So let's continue the game and let's do a quick recap. One of the neat things about Pokemon Fire Red is that it will kind of give you a bit of a recap to catch you up on some of the things that you did in your recent play session. It's usually the most relative important things. Sometimes it'll actually show you walking around, and other times it'll just kind of explain what I did last. In the end, Sheldon sent to Arcanine while Griffin countered with Blastoise. As a result, battle with every bit of power, barely won the match. I would not say barely won, but that's their thing. And now, we continue from here. Ah, Griffin, you're back, aren't you? How much have you filled your Pokedex? May I see it? Let's see. You've caught 83! Now this is impressive. There's something I wanted to ask of you, Griffin. Come, follow me. Yup. We're starting things the old classic way, going with Professor Oak to his lab. Recently, there have been sightings of many rare Pokemon species. I'm talking about Pokemon that have never been seen in Kanto. I would love to go see these for myself, but I'm much too old. Since I can't do it, Griffin, I'd like you to go in my place. Hey, I heard that. Gramps, what's it favoring Griffin over me all the time? I would have collected more Pokemon, and faster too. You should let me handle everything. Oh, I know. Of course, I need your help too. Now, I need to see both your Pokedexes. We took our Pokedex unit, or rather he took ours. And that's done. Now, these units can record data on a lot more Pokemon. Pokedex was upgraded, so now we have the National Dex. Now, Griffin and Sheldon, this time you really must work toward filling your Pokedexes. I urge you to make them the best and most complete of all time. Truly, this is a monumentally great undertaking in Pokemon history. Grant, calm down, don't get so excited. I'll get the Pokedex completed, don't you worry about a thing. I think I'll try looking around one island first. Anyways, I'm out of here. Pokemon around the world wait for you, Griffin. Alright, so our rival Sheldon kind of gave us a little bit of a hint here, in that we're going to be going back to the Sevii Islands, because now that the postgame has officially started, we are now able to access many new Pokemon that we were not able to previously find. And we need to cover that as we go through the postgame story, which is relatively short, but is still very interesting. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to Vermilion City, and that's going to take me a couple of minutes, so BRB. Alright, we found ourselves back here in Vermilion City once more. As always, if we want to go to the Sevii Islands, we have to come here first in order to make our way there with the ferry. We have a Tri-Pass. Would you like to board the Sea Gallop Ferry? Now, despite the fact that our rival Sheldon gave us a hint to go to one island, I actually want to go to 3 Island first, because there's one little thing that we can now do that is relatively unrelated to everything else, but is still only available now. So let's go ahead and go to 3 Island first. First of all, you'll notice that there are no bikers around here anymore. Those bikers ran off, and Lost Cell was found safe. Everything's turned out for the best. Fantastic. Now, before we get into what we're about to get into here, I do want to preface with one little thing here. There are going to be many new Pokemon that we can find, and some of them are good, some of them are less than great. But regardless of how good or not good that they are, I do need to preface everything with a little bit of an asterisk. While the Pokemon that we can find here can be helpful in certain situations, because of the levels that they can vary at, and even like the highest level that they can be found at, in many regards, in terms of stuff that is required moving forward, they're all pretty difficult for me to recommend only because of the levels that they can be found at. It's a little late in our journey for them to be helpful. It isn't to say that it isn't worth it for some of them, but just keep that in mind. It may be a little late for them to be genuinely helpful unless you are really willing to put in the time to get them caught up to the rest of your team. But you do you. And again, that doesn't mean that these Pokemon are bad by any stretch of the imagination. Or at least, most of them are. Anyway, we want to start our day by going off in here. If you remember last time, this path was only started to get worked on by a certain guy, and it seems as though it's expanded a bit. Let's talk to him one more time. Hey there, how's it going? Did you hear? I struck gold. You remember that I was prospecting, didn't you? You can't begin to imagine just how happy I am. So I'll show you. This is for you. We obtained the nugget. That's a nugget. I can't give you any nuggets of wisdom, so I'll have to do. Okay, so he's given us a nugget here. I do believe there is one other nugget hidden in here somewhere, so let me get my little item finder set up here. Let's see, right here. Sweet! Found another nugget. Okay, so now we've gotten the nuggets of wisdom. We see that there is a new patch of grass here. This patch of grass is not available to us during the main story. It is only made available to you after you defeat the Elite Four and come back here later. And in this particular patch of grass, there's one new Pokemon that you can find 100% of the time. There we go. Dunsparce is the new Pokemon that we can find here. Now, going into Dunsparce as a Pokemon, as I said, beating the Elite Four can give you many new, exciting Pokemon. This is not one of them, unfortunately. And it's not just because the one I happen to find here is at level 10. That's not really the issue. So let's talk about Dunsparce and how it works. There are positives, to be sure. It is a normal type, which means it only really has one weakness and has an immunity to ghost types. And as a normal type, it has pretty good moves leveling up, and it does have access to a lot of really good TMs, as most normal types do. Additionally, Dunsparce actually has a really good ability in the form of Serene Grace, which doubles the odds of any secondary effects happening in battle. To kind of give you an example, if I were to teach Dunsparce Flamethrower, normally Flamethrower has a 30% chance of burning the opponent when used. However, with Serene Grace, the odds of that double to 60%, meaning that more than half the time that Dunsparce would use Flamethrower, it will burn the opponent. This is great when you pair it with some of the moves that it can learn. And because of that, Dunsparce has a lot of potential between its type and its moveset and its ability. Unfortunately, its stats do not support this at all. It does have good HP, and some of the moves that it learns leveling up, such as Takedown, Rage, and Flail, actually play around this concept with Dunsparce having so much HP to whittle away with. But aside from that, none of its stats are particularly great. Its offensive and defensive stats are mediocre at best, its speed is very lacking, and it just doesn't have the prowess that it needs to take advantage of its immense potential. It's honestly a shame, because if it just got a good evolution, yes, I said a good evolution, go away to Dunsparce, it would actually be a really good Pokemon. Some would even consider it a competitive masterpiece if it just had better stats. But as it is, it just isn't going to be able to reach its potential. Now then, as I said, when it comes to Dunsparce, his level's relatively low. This is actually one of the lower end Dunsparce among the ones I could have found here. The level range for Dunsparce in this area can range anywhere from level 5 to level 35. So if you don't care for the level that you find the first Dunsparce at, don't worry about it. Just go around a little bit more and try to find a Dunsparce at a higher level. But it's not going to really matter, because let's be honest, you're not using this thing. And neither will I. Well, regardless, that is our first new Pokemon outside the original 151. Dunsparce, the land Pokemon. If spotted, it escapes by burrowing with its tail. It can hover just slightly using its wings. What a pathetic dex entry. As always, if you would like to give a nickname to Dunsparce, feel free to do so in the comments below. And let me know if you actually knew about this, because until I actually started doing research for this Let's Play, I had no idea about this area. So I'm glad that I learned a little bit something new about Pokemon Fire Red today. Like I said, Dunsparce is the only Pokemon that you can find here, and it is the only new Pokemon that we're going to be able to find here. So now that we've taken care of our business at 3 Island, we're going to go to 1 Island and see what business there lies there. Because now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of things. Alright, so now we're back here at 1 Island. The first thing I want to do is I want to go back to the Pokemon Net Center. Because now that we've entered the post game, we can talk to our friend Celio here, and we can continue with a new quest. Griffin, how have things been for you? Oh, is that right? You've caught more Pokemon. Do you know what? Maybe I can be useful to you. I'm modifying the network machine right now. I'm changing it so it can handle trades over long distances. When I get finished, you'll be trading for exotic Pokemon from trainers far away. But there is a slight catch. For the link to work, the machine needs a special gemstone. It's supposed to be on 1 island, but I haven't found one yet. Who knows where it could be? Okay, so that's our little hint to get things started here. I'm gonna heal real quick. Oh! So I intended to go to a new area, and in between cuts, I found a wild Pokemon that I had not at least encountered properly before. So I'm gonna take a second to catch this Rapidash here. Might be a little tricky, but I'll make it work. There we go. That Rapidash gave me a little more trouble than I anticipated. Rapidash, the fire Pokemon. It can gallop at a top speed of 150 miles per hour. It can race as fast as a bullet train while ablaze. Aren't bullet trains 200 miles an hour? Whatever, this was the early 2000s. Maybe they were slower back then. If you want to give a nickname to this Rapidash, feel free to do so in the comments, as always. Now, to get ahead of where I actually intended to go. Okay, so the next place that we need to go to is Mount Ember. This is an area that we partially explored a few episodes back and had a hell of a time catching a particular big fiery bird. But if you recall, there was one other thing that we saw there that we weren't able to interact with really. Now we can address it. So we're back here at Mount Ember, and I want to go over to the right here. Whew! Punch through at last. Let's go treasure hunting. Any treasure we find, we haul back to the warehouse. Understood? Oh, and what are the passwords? At the Rocket Warehouse, I mean. What, you forgot the password? There are actually 2. The first one's Goldeen, need log. And the second one is... Hey, this suits me listening in. Oh yeah? What you gonna do about it? You've been eavesdropping on us, haven't you? Yep, you thought Giovanni leaving Med Team Rocket was gone for good? Nope. There's still little bits of business that they're doing that we need to take down. So we're going to be fighting these guys and taking out their Cubones that they have torn away from their mothers as quickly as we can to put them out of their misery. That was quick. Huh, what? Very, very nice. Why'd you have to win? I'm the champion of the region. I know you guys don't care about that, but trying to hoard it on our treasure? Don't bet on it. Listen, guys. Look, you're criminals. Okay? You lost the right to privacy when you decided to be criminals. Alright, nothing particularly interesting about this guy's team, just Rattatas and Sandshrews. Wait, but how? Guys, this is the post game. I'm gonna have really strong mons. Develop amnesia conveniently and forget everything you've heard. Can we put that on like a shirt? Edgar Griffin, like, find a way. Get that on a shirt. Talk to our PR lady. What a setback. We'll have to regroup. You! Don't even think about taking a step inside here. If you know what's good for you, don't even think about this. You know, you could have just stood in my way like you did in the first case, but you know, whatever. Anyway, we are going to be going inside here. And now we're in a new section of Mount Ember. Nothing particularly noteworthy about this first section. However, we are now on a certain path that's going to take us to a new-ish area. We just need to get down here. And now that we have gotten to these inner depths, there is a new Pokemon that we can find here, but I will address it as it comes up. So I don't want to waste y'all's time. That's obviously not it. Okay, so we want to go here. Down the hatch. Ah, here we go. Here's our new Pokemon that we can find here. Slugma. And yeah, go ahead and make your jokes. But seriously, Slugma is actually a pretty interesting Pokemon. On the surface, Slugma doesn't look like much at first. Because, let's be honest, it has really bad stats. Aside from its special attack, nothing higher than 40, and its speed is more than twice as bad as Dunsparce, which is saying a lot. However, once it evolves into its evolved form, Magcargo, it actually becomes a lot more interesting. Not only because it has better stats across the board, except for its speed, really, but it becomes a fire-rock type, which is a very unusual combination. And once it evolves, Magcargo's defensive stats become supremely better. Like, it is so much physical defense, making it really good. Not to mention, it's pretty decent special stats, too. And the really nice thing about Magcargo is that it learns really good moves leveling up. It learns Flamethrower, Rock Slide, and Body Slam all naturally through level up. It's really, really good for that. And it can be useful, but there are some problems. First, Magcargo doesn't have a lot of HP, and again, its speed is still very lacking. And even with the whole asterisk thing I mentioned before, the same argument comes up as it did with Magmar. It's very, very late in our journey, and more likely than not, you already have a Fire-type Pokemon dedicated for your team. So, obviously I recommend catching this thing, because it is still a very interesting Pokemon, but it may not be the most helpful thing. Also, do bear in mind that you can catch Slugma and Magcargo in this particular area. The only thing that you need to do for Magcargo, if you want to catch Magcargo straight up, is you need to bring a Pokemon with Rock Smash, because in the later sections of this new area of Mount Ember that is affectionately referred to as the Ruby Path, you need to get a Pokemon with Rock Smash to break some of the rocks, and instead of Geodudes, you'll find Slugmas and Magcargos. I have to be extremely careful. I can't attack Magcargo straight up, because, like I said, Magcargo has garbage stats, right? Not Magcargo. Slugma has garbage stats at the moment, so really anything that I hit it with is going to knock it out. So the only thing I can do to increase the odds of me catching it is paralyzing it and then throw in Pokeballs at full health. Not that it can't work, but it's obviously not a given. When in doubt, use a Pokeball, because that always works. And like that, Slugma has been registered to the Pokedex. Slugma, the lava Pokemon, a common sight in volcanic areas. It slowly slithers around in constant search for warm places. As always, if you want to give a nickname to this Slugma, you are free to recommend one in the comments, unless it is the obvious nickname that everyone always goes with. But yeah. There we go. That's another new Pokemon from the Johto region added to our Pokedex. So now we've gotten that taken care of, we're going to press on here. Okay, so we need to go left once, then down, and get interrupted again. Nope. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna go this and get interrupted again. Okay, so that, I believe, is a ladder we need to go up. I'm going to check to make sure there wasn't anything else I can do in here. Ah, see, there is something here. There is something here. I think this may actually be the intended path. Yep, this is. So this is actually a really cool area. So this area displays text in binary, which, not binary, Braille. It's visible Braille. So I will go ahead and show each one on screen here briefly and allow Editor Griffin to provide a translation for you guys. Okay, now that we've covered that, let's go ahead and move on. And at the very bottom of the Ruby path, we find another thing for Braille. That is definitely a long bit of Braille text. Oh, it's quite a bit of stretch of text. Okay, well, hopefully that is more decipherable for you than it is for me. I hope it said something interesting, but in any case, we got ourselves a ruby. This is the exact thing that our friend Celio needed, so now that we've gotten that taken care of, I'm gonna go back. And that will take me a couple minutes, so BRB. Alright, we'll go with this letter here, then this one, then this one. And that brings us back here, making it a little easier for us to exit. And now we're back at One Island. Beautiful. Now let's talk to Celio. Oh, that's... Handed the ruby to Celio. Thank you, Griffin. You're simply amazing. May I ask one more giant favor of you? Sure. While I was studying gemstones, I discovered something important. There is another gem that forms a pair with this ruby. That other gemstone is supposed to be in the Sevii Islands. Griffin, please, I ask you to go find the other gem. Griffin, may I have your ferry pass in the town map? Alright, we returned the tri-pass and received the rainbow pass. And we got an extra page for the town map. This is my own ferry pass. It will let you get to all of the Sevii Islands. Griffin, please, I can't do it without your help. Alright, well, I think that's a good enough spot to stop. We've returned to the Sevii Islands. We've gotten 2 new Pokemon that have gone past the original 151. And now the snowball of the post-game has officially begun. So, next time on Pokemon Fire Red version, we're going to explore some of the new of the Sevii Islands and see what new Pokemon there lie in store for us while we try to find the Sapphire. See you guys then.